Posted by u/sensitive elastic. My husband, 26M, and I, 26F, have had a rocky relationship. It's been 3 years since we got married, and I always hoped it would get a bit easier. I feel like we've tried a lot of different things to improve our relationship, but I often find myself feeling defeated and sad because it seems like nothing will ever change. Right now, we're in the process of moving. I stayed behind to finish things up at our house, and he's gone ahead to start working. We're literally starting from scratch. I sold everything, including our cars. We have to have a car, so I asked him to buy a car and have it ready for us once I'm ready to move. He's met me with so many excuses, and I'm just tired. I'm finally flying to meet him next week, and there's still no car. It's been a month. He mentioned to me offhand the other day that he was planning on buying a car once I fly in, but doesn't that defeat the purpose? All I asked was for him to have one ready for when I arrived. I really don't want to go car shopping the second I get off the plane. I was excited and hopeful about the move. We talked about how things were going to change, and he seemed so motivated, but now I feel defeated again. I don't even feel angry anymore. What was I expecting? I'm not sure what advice I'm looking for. We get along pretty well when there aren't any big life decisions involved. He's a nice guy, I just don't trust him to take any responsibility in the relationship. I guess, has anyone been in a similar relationship? How did it go? When was it finally enough for you? Is there anything that can change? I'm really interested in starting couples therapy, but I'm afraid of putting effort into something that might not even work. Additional info from OP after seeing common questions. Hi, thanks for commenting, everyone has been really helpful so far. There was a time when my husband wouldn't help out with chores or bills. I was cooking, cleaning, and working full-time while he got to play games. I do think he's gotten better, but there are still a lot of times when I feel like I'm doing more. I'm trying to be patient. I know people don't change overnight, it's just hard. I think I still have some hurt feelings from that time. Looking at it now, I think I believe that if I asked him to do something more important, maybe he'd take it more seriously and be excited to contribute. I realize it's a big decision, but I've always been willing to talk about the financials and other details of the purchase. I think I would have really appreciated seeing his effort in taking over this decision. I've talked to him since posting this, and we've gone over more details about the purchase. He's actually made an appointment to start looking for cars. I'm still not 100% sure if it's purely an anxiety thing or if he's just coasting along with me, but I'm planning to organize my thoughts and talk openly about how this has made me feel once we're together. Thanks again, I've been thinking a lot about the situation. I really appreciate it. Update 3 years later. Hi Reddit. I made a post 3 years ago about my husband not taking the initiative when it came to purchasing a new car after a big move. My post didn't get too much attention, but I've always enjoyed seeing updates, and a lot has changed in 3 years. So, I decided to log back in and share my own update. After making the post, my husband set up an appointment to look at cars. I remember feeling really good in that moment, a huge relief knowing that this big task was finally getting handled. When his appointment came, my husband called to share some good news. He'd seen one car, decided it was good, and told me it was the one we'd be buying. While he was still at the dealership, I asked him for details like the price, the interest rate, and whether he compared it to Kelley Blue Book to make sure it was a fair deal. My husband was kind enough to ask the salesman all of my questions, but after each one, he added, "I'm sorry, my wife is making this so difficult." I was pretty hurt and embarrassed by this and told him so, but he said my questions were frustrating and were slowing down the process of the one thing I had asked him to do. In the end, he decided to wait for me to arrive so we could sign for the car together. I ended up getting picked up from the airport and taken straight to the dealership. We got a good interest rate on the car, but we overpaid by about $7,000. I should have said no to the car and looked for one myself, but I was young, embarrassed, and felt like I wasn't being supportive. Thankfully, that car ended up being our only shared piece of property in the divorce. I didn't trust him to refinance the car, so I ended up taking it. We owed so much more than it was worth that I couldn't refinance it for several months. Eventually, I traded it in, and while I'm still in a financial hole because of it, I'm so much happier now. We tried therapy before ultimately divorcing. My ex-husband was quite the prodigy. He was cured, his words, not mine, after just a week. He claimed he had it all figured out and saw no point in continuing. He also told me he was the only one who had ever put any effort into the relationship, and that it was 100% my fault we were divorcing. He said no one would ever love him again if I left, and that he might as well end his life because there was no point in going on. When that didn't work, he said no one would ever love me again and that I was lucky he had stayed as long as he did. He even asked if I would forge his signature on the divorce documents because I was basically forcing him to do it anyway. I did not. Anyway, I'm happy to report that he was able to move on from the trauma I supposedly put him through. He's still around, but I've kept my distance because I can't be bothered, so I'm unsure what he's up to these days. I, however, was able to find someone after some time. My boyfriend is so kind that it sometimes feels too good to be true. Then again, I get Twitter-pated when he does simple things like taking out the trash, cooking, or maintaining a full-time job, so the bar is in hell. He's a great guy and does more than the bare minimum, I promise. Looking back, I realize I already knew I wanted a divorce, I just wasn't ready to admit it. My ex-husband didn't love or respect me. I didn't include many details about our relationship in my first post, and I don't feel the need to now, but I know this: if someone truly loves you, they make sure you know it. Thanks Reddit, you were right. Commenter. I didn't read the original post and feel like there's more to it. Usually, when you delegate responsibilities, you have to let someone actually do the thing they're supposed to do. You can assist them with big mistakes, preferably by teaching them beforehand, but you can't become a micromanager, or they'll never take the initiative in doing things themselves, never feel like they can make decisions on their own, and they'll never learn anything. Based solely on this post, I feel like the car was the wrong first responsibility to delegate if Op wasn't willing to let him handle it or accept that he might not do it as well as she would. She ultimately wanted to be in charge and work out the details herself, and her husband being there was no different from her being there, which she eventually was. At the very least, they should have mutually agreed on a price they were willing to pay, what they needed in a car, and then she should have left it at that. This was the wrong way to car shop for both of them. If there were more issues, then it sounds like divorce was the right decision. It's just a very poor example for this singular post, since you can't ask a partner to make more decisions and take more initiative on their own and then micromanage them when they try. Op should have started with something that carried less financial risk, but if the marriage was a dud anyway, it is what it is. Op's response. I didn't share many details in either post, so it's definitely just a small glimpse into our relationship. I'm not here to air all of our dirty laundry, so I guess you'll just have to trust me when I say this man did nothing, ever. I don't even think I micromanaged him. He spent more time arguing with me that I was taking too long packing our apartment than actually looking for cars. I think his exact words were, I could have done it in a weekend, and it's taken you a month. I just don't think you love me that much because you're not trying to be with me fast enough. Even with the little things, he did nothing. I asked him to take out the trash once, and it sat by the front door for an entire week before I finally decided to take it out myself. Imagine my surprise when he said he was just about to do it. Yeah, right? But maybe I could have let him learn from his mistakes more? Taught him beforehand? Believe me, I cried, begged, bargained, and eventually just gave up on this man. My mistake was definitely thinking that he would suddenly care and change his behavior. I think, in the back of my mind, I just needed that one extra instance of him not caring about anything to finally leave the relationship. It was never actually about the car,